It is time to work on language section, so please help me going to page 89, okay? The title of this lesson is Tag Questions. Now, if you remember, there are some symbols around our book, such as this one. Do you remember what that means? Well, it means flipped classroom. That means you can watch and get informed at home about the topic before going to the class. But in this case, we're doing both at the same time because you are already at home. Okay, so I'm going to play this other video for you to have a better idea of what a tag question is. Ready? Pay a lot of attention.
Tag questions. A tag question is a phrase that we use at the end of a sentence to turn it into a question. We can use tag questions to confirm a fact. We are going to the party, aren't we? Use the same helping verb. You are eating that, aren't you? The helping verb in the question tag has to be written in the opposite form. I should do my homework now, shouldn't I? Always separate the question tag with the comma. We can also use tag questions to express disapproval, make someone reconsider an action, or express uncertainty. Just use a negative sentence with an affirmative tag. You didn't drive here, did you? Jessica isn't bringing dessert, is she? They wouldn't do that, would they? Now I know that we use tag questions to confirm a fact, express disapproval, make someone reconsider an action, or express uncertainty. Need more practice? Check out the language section of your book for more exercises. The end.
Okay. Now that you have seen this video and the other one that I shared with you, let's read together this brief explanation on our book. Remember, we are working on page 89 from language section. Okay? Please, let's read all together. A tag question is a phrase that is placed at the end of a sentence to turn it into a question. It can be used to confirm a fact or to express uncertainty or disapproval. It is separated from the rest of the sentence by a comma. It is written using the opposite form of the verb along with the same subject. Make sure to use the helping verb in the tag. So we have some examples over here. We have two options. We can be reading a positive statement or a negative statement. So let's see each of these cases. Now, in a positive statement, for example, you were reading, the negative tag will be weren't you? Okay, so if you notice the verb here, the helping verb is were. So we have to use the same one, but in the opposite form. In this case, because it is an affirmative form on the first, we have to use the negative form on the tag. Okay. Now let's go with a negative statement. It says, we shouldn't turn right at the corner. So, to formulate the positive tag, we should use the same helping verb, should, but in the opposite form. In this case, in an affirmative form. Should we? Notice that the subjects are the same that we have on the previous statement. Okay? Now, I'm going to be helping you on the following exercise because it is a new topic for us. Okay? Let's read all together. Read the sentences. Choose a tag question from the list. Then, write the tag question in the blank to match the first sentence. So, we have the first sentence here. Are we going to have the interview on the telephone? That is in a question form, right? And as a statement, it says, we are going to have the interview on the phone. Now, do you remember how to write a tag question? We must identify the helping verb here, in this case are, and we have to identify the subject, that is we. On this sentence, we have an affirmative form. And in order to write the tag question, we need to write it in the opposite form. That means we have to do it in negative, right? So instead of writing we are, we must write aren't we? Notice that I use the same verb and the same subject, but in the form of a question and in the opposite form, which is negative. Okay? Now, I'll read the next one for you, and I want you to try to do it by your own. Okay? Did you leave the door open when we left? You didn't leave the door open when we left. So, the same, we have to identify the helping verb, in this case, didn't, and the subject, you. Remember, in order to write the tag question, you have to write it in the opposite form. Didn't is in negative, so you have to write here the affirmative form and using the same subject, in this case, you. So, how should we write the tag question? Did you? Very good. Now, I think with this help, you are ready to practice with the next 3 sentences. Okay? Now, let's go, well, as soon as you finish, let's go to the next page, page 90, okay? In which we have a little bit more information about tag questions. Now, tag questions can be used as reactions to statements, as we saw in the video. When used this way, the reaction usually sounds negative, as if the listener doesn't approve of the action or wants the speaker to reconsider or doesn't know for sure. So what you have to do is to change the helping verb to its opposite form and then add the question tag at the end, okay? Such as the examples we have over here. I want another piece of cake. That's what someone is telling to another person, right? So the answer could be, you don't want a piece of cake, do you? Now let's see the next example. He is going for a whole week. And if you don't believe that, if you cannot believe that that is true, you can tell. He isn't going for a whole week, is he? So we're going to turn each statement into a question using a tag question. Remember that the tag question might be affirmative or negative, as in the example we have over here, okay? Now, let's do the first one together. It says, George asked if he could leave on Saturday. So the first thing we have to do is to change the statement into the opposite form. In this case, in negative, right? So this should be like this. George, yes, George didn't. Let me find my apostrophe over here. George didn't ask if he could leave on Saturday. And then we have a comma to start writing our tag question. Do you know how the tag question is? We have didn't ask. George didn't ask if he could leave on Saturday. And we write it in the opposite form too. Did he? I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we can read it better as an answer. Okay, now it says, I'll go to explain it again. George asked if he could leave on Saturday. That's what someone is telling you, but because you don't believe it, then you answer in the opposite form. George didn't ask if he could leave on Saturday, did he? So what you do is, if the sentence is in an affirmative form, you change it to negative, okay? So in this case, instead of writing only asked, I write didn't ask. Remember that ed indicates past tense, so that's why I use didn't as a negative form, okay? And the tag question must be using the helping verb, in this case didn't, and the same subject, in this case George, in which pronoun we will use he. Okay, so this is only about practice. So I'll give you the chance to practice on the following sentences. In case you think you are not sure about the answers, feel free to ask me. Okay, I will skip the game zone for this activity. Okay, because I will add another on the file that I share daily with you. Okay, so it's time for you to practice.